Businessman Obi Cubana yesterday put out a post on his social media on his personal opinion, and we thought it was something worth talking and discussing about. The businessman advised people not to spend all their lives acquiring wealth without creating time to enjoy it. He added that the wealth sometimes gets squandered after the person dies. He also pointed out that the children of the rich are now serving the children of the poor, while men who are now rich are serving. No, so those children of the rich then are now serving children of the poor of back then. What are your own thoughts on this? Specifically, let me read from him. He said, the poor man's children of yesterday are busy buying out the properties of rich men of yesterdays. From the children they acquired and left those properties for is a cycle of life. Funny enough, most of the rich never enjoyed the luxury of the wealth they were busy acquiring while they were alive. Our people have a saying. That's Obi Iyiegbu's part. That's your own part.
Yeah, that's my part.
Our people have a saying.
Olu uno na mota ole uno.
What's the meaning of what
means that the builder acquiring man.
She didn't get it where?
Yes, that is. I want to know.
Olu uno. Na mu ole uno. Should I say it in pidgin?
No, the builder acquiring man gives birth to a seller and so on. So while you toil and work very hard to acquire, make out time to enjoy the process of your hard work. More importantly, may your acquired wealth be beneficial to mankind and not the source of pain and oppression. Now, this there are very many angles to this, because many of us grew up with lots of rich people that we hear about from very far. Oh, this big name, there's so many names, even from different states. You hear their names, the child of this person. Today, you think back and you don't even know where these people are anymore. And these children whose parents were probably poor and they used to judge themselves as saying that we can't afford these, they are the ones that they've struggled through life, and now they are buying out the properties of those people they've hurt. So maybe Mr. Johnson was the richest man in the world, and you are just regular folk, and now you grow up wealthy, you're now buying Mr. Johnson's property, and then there's no way you don't have that nostalgic feeling of, this man used to be the wealthiest. His children need my money to survive. You know, and it's that cycle that we're discussing, because something must break that cycle. Many people, we are all raising our children today, and there's a saying that the way we are spoiling our children, there's a possibility that the wealth we're creating for them, they won't even use it. They're likely going to destroy it, because we feed them too much. We give them too much the goodness of life, that there's a possibility that they won't struggle, and it's those who have struggled that have made wealth. What are your thoughts on this? And what lessons do you think we can take from his comments on social media?
I don't believe that struggling is what made people that got from poverty from grass to grace wealthy. It is not their struggle that brought about wealth. If it is struggling that brings about wealth, then every bonbon carrying person in sight to be wealthy, every cart pusher will be wealthy. It's not the struggle. They've been able to hack some principles. Some stumbled on it unconsciously, and they became competent about it. And in some cases, some never get it. So they work really hard, they struggle really hard, they never get it. And I also do not believe that it is the circle of wealth into poverty is based on spoiling the children. I think it's because we just did not, people got successful without learning what made them successful. People stumble their way into success, people cheat their way into success and think that they can pass on that success to their children. It doesn't work. You cannot pass on what you schemed your way into to your children. They will sell it because you did not earn it. So the conversation for me would be Obi Cubana advising that people should know that illegitimate wealth don't get transferred back to back. It is legitimate wealth that can move, and then training the children. Some families hacked it. The Carnegies have hacked it. The Ford Foundation, we see them. The Ford family still holds control of what they've built hundreds of years ago, and that's just because they've been able to create a system. Guinness, people are drinking beer everywhere. The family of Guinness still earns money from Guinness. They are not selling their property, they are acquiring more. So what is happening is an African thing. It is a Nigerian thing, if we want to be specific, and it is something we need to deal with by ourselves. There are properties in Allen that the fathers barely died before the children started selling. So what did the children not have that made them sell off? is the training. So I think emphasis should be on training, not about spoiling the children, having washing machine. Because if the man was in, like the children did not wash their clothes with their hand, it's not by all of those ones. It's about training, and I don't agree.
Let me go.
Okay, you want me to start? Okay. So I've always known that hard times, create strong people, and easy times create weak people. And like you said in your analogy, it's a cycle. So take out the fact that some people don't do things that they need to do. But it's a cycle that we've seen so far, especially in this part of the world, where the people who are rich do not pay attention to helping their children understand what it is to make that wealth. And so they are more focused on giving the kids whatever it is that they want. They have a very easy life. And when you have a very easy life, you do not think creatively, because if you want a toy, the toy is there. You want a bicycle, the bicycle is there. Everything you want, you can have it at a go. But the children of the poor, most of the time, have to put in their thinking cap. Yeah. Because when they are looking for bicycle they don't see, they go outside, they see tire, they put things, and then they ride. When they are looking for some kind of toys they don't see, they make it makeshift. They use boxes of matches, cartons of noodles and all of that. They make stuff, right? And in making that stuff, it is activating a part of the brain, which is your creativity part of that brain, to fix things. And when you see them in society tomorrow, they are constantly thinking of solving problems because they are used to helping themselves and solving those problems. And for the rich people who do not pay attention to raising their kids in a way to solve problems, fall into the trap of, after creating their wealth, when they go, before they are even buried, everybody is selling and just grabbing whatever it is. So he is, pointing that out. And I also understand that a lot of people are now sitting back, rich people now sitting back to say, okay, what can I do to make sure that I'm not overindulging my children? And they're working on that. And by the grace of God, they will get there. But he also mentioned another part, which is, as you are making money, which was the most important for me for everything he said. Chapo.
That's the one you hear.
Before. As you are creating wealth, you are doing all the, still eat. Take some time out and enjoy some things, because you may not be there forever. And if care is not taken, they say next of kin is sometimes always praying and waiting. When this auntie go even die, they make her collect that hair where she never wear. It's a reality. They cry, say you don't die. They go cry, go bank with your ATM, go collect money while they're still crying. So it's that reality. And I think that's the message he was mostly trying to push, that no matter how hard you work, find time to rest, find time to relax, find time to enjoy that money. It's a conversation I've been having. Like, I'm constantly saying, Uncle, you cannot save everything.
It's easier said than done, because you are here, you have to pay school fees. You have to live you're trying to create a certain level of life for your children. So it's difficult. It's all about the kids. Right now, he can say that because he's a billionaire. Hey, enjoy your money. But I'm sure he probably didn't say that 15 years ago.
No, he should not. That's the point. It should not be all about the kids. You're a human being too. So no matter what you have that you're spreading, okay, we pay school fees, in that your list that you're making, cut out something from inside for yourself, no matter how small. Because you may finish all those stress, and if God does not permit you to stay to repeat, what have you gained?
Maybe I'll come to you, Amaka, in a second. Let me take Olutoye calling. Good morning, Olutoye, you're live. Hello, Olutoye.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to contribute on this issue.
Yes.
It's an issue that of paramount interest to me.
Yeah.
Particularly those of our people in diaspora. They keep acquiring wealth without any plan of coming back immediately. By the time most of them will come back, sadly at the advanced age, they won't be able to enjoy the wealth they have created. And I try to encourage some of them that care to listen to me, that this wealth that you are creating, you should equally create time or give yourself time lag to retire and come back home to enjoy this wealth. By the time you come back home, many of you will have reached an advanced age that can no longer even enjoy this wealth. I think what Cubana said is indeed a reality. And so for some of us who are in Nigeria that keep acquiring wealth without any plan, even for holidays, or creating time to release, to relax, or to enjoy this wealth. Some of the children that we are creating this wealth for, by this time, by tomorrow, the wealth will mean nothing to them, and they will sell those things off. So I think it's a clarion call to us Nigerians and those in diaspora that keep acquiring lands, buying houses without any plan of retiring and coming back home to enjoy this at least at a middle age, not at an advanced age where you can no longer enjoy this wealth again. I think that's my contribution. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start by saying that kings are not born, kings are made. And that building a legacy and building generational wealth takes intentionality.
Thank you.
I always hammer on this show every time about being intentional. You cannot be wealthy and not be intentional about how you pass on that wealth and how you sustain that wealth. That's foolishness, right? And for example, you find out that the royals all over the world, they make sure that their kids go for certain trainings. Their kids go to the military, they have to study, they have private tutors, there are times, they have slots for English, you have to study different languages, everything, know about the world, businesses. And so they're being intentional, and that's why they're able to succeed, to be able to pass. Even when you have a weak or a foolish king, you find out that the king even still has sense in what he's supposed to do when you look at history, right? And then you find out that kids of the wealthy abroad, they send their kids for internships. They say their kids don't even have time to play. They don't even have time to chill. Do you understand? Because they're being intentional about sustaining wealth. So no matter how dumb you feel like a child is, but then there's consistency in training, there's a structure in place, that child will succeed and that child will be able to sustain that wealth. Because that's how people are programmed. That's how children are programmed. So how you bring up a child over time, even when the child wants to be rebellious, they understand the fact that if this money goes and I don't have this lifestyle, so I need to maintain this.
But the truth is that many people, wealthy people in Nigeria, you come from poverty and you now having a better life. You have a big house. The thinking is you don't want your child to go through what you've been through. You're trying to create a better life for that child. And when you do it,
that leads to crisis.
And so when you do that, giving your child the best schools, best this, they have the help here, they have all that, they grow up and they don't have that creativity you talked about earlier. Now, it's difficult for that same child to appreciate the hustle you went through to get to where you are. Now, they see it and they are not able to sustain that wealth. When they have children, there's a study that says that their children are likely to get poorer. So then it's a cycle. So when he's saying it's a cycle of life, whether you like it or not, at some point, that cycle will go to the point.
No, there is always an exception to every rule, and that is based on you understanding the rule.
Yes.
There is law of gravity. Everything that goes up will come down. But why do planes fly? Because there was a law that supersedes the law of gravity.
True.
And because that law is obeyed, the plane will fly and land and it will not crash, except the law is default. There's a default to that law. So it means that if there is a law that there is always a circle of wealth to poverty, that tends to happen a lot. Understanding and studying that law, knowing what you will do to negate the law, if you know it and you do it, you will have transgenerational prosperity. Exactly. And when we normalize that conversation, we are going to be talking about the real principles, which is that's my lifelong study that I've been dedicating myself to. Because if we don't get it, we don't get it. And majority of what is happening here is that we don't get it. I have cousins that have sold everything. Cousins I grew up seeing my uncles very rich, and I was happy that these of my uncles have money. But other party, one after the other. I found out recently that my grandfather's house, they've sold it. Because we didn't get any inheritance. My daddy is the youngest. My grandfather died when he was 6 months. So before he grew up, they have collected. I'm just hearing that was at your grandfather's house. That was your grandfather's house. Why? Because there wasn't any structure to hand over. What she said, in many countries now, the British system does not want you to transfer wealth to your children. So when a man dies, half of his property would go into the government. It's the government's own. So every child is brought up with the understanding that I am on my own. Yeah. I'm building my own wealth. That was a structure they put in place to counter this circle that is happening. So everybody has a responsibility. Then there was something big that BC Hab done, and she also mentioned it, in that you must intentionally create a structure that my children will have access to everything that they need, but I'll also ensure they are disciplined. Yeah. Sports is a very strong way to build discipline. True. Military is a very strong way to build discipline. And you will see the families of royals, they always put their children in those areas. They will learn fencing, they will learn sports, they will learn chess. Those are small things we take for granted. but they are powerful in helping to build that creativity. You can be rich and be creative, and you can be poor and not be creative. The poor person will just be creatively hustling all their life.
Everybody short because we come back and stay with us to breakfast. Thanks for staying with us. We're still talking about transgenerational wealth, how to sustain wealth, and I'm using what Obi Cubana had said as a reference. But I'd like to come to you, BC, your thoughts.
So I've always known that people whose children decide to start selling off things when they are dead is people whose children have always had this entitlement, mentality of their parents, that dad is always there to provide, mom is always there to provide. There's no proper structure of training and building the child's mind that they can be able to stand on their own 2 feet. You know how we always are in a hurry to run in and rescue this child, a child of 30. We are still seeing the man as a child, 35. Every time he's calling for money. He's not able to hold on to a job. He's jumping from place to place, and we enable, but let's give him now, let's support him now. So those sort of children I know that have no plans. They always see their parents as, I can always rely on these people, are the ones that end up selling. But every parent who has been intentional in equipping their children with skills, and skill is not struggle, it's not about giving them Gary to drink because you don't want them to eat pizza. That's not what I'm talking about. Skill is the fact that they understand the values of work, the dignity in labor. They are allowed to work. They are allowed to create. They are allowed to come up with ideas on how to make your business better. Those children, whether you die and you don't leave anything, they will find their way and they will make their wealth. Then also, we also have what I also see as a problem in Africa, which some people are not trying to, fight and stop, is the fact that we don't know how to transfer our businesses to our children. It's not just about the wealth now, but the running of the business. So that business that made you wealthy, that thing you were doing that made you wealthy, we don't know how to transfer it to our children, at least so that one person, even if it's not a family business, because you may have a child who decides to take a different path, right? Wants to go out there and do his own thing. He doesn't want to be a part of the family business. But at least you must have somebody in that family that would have that interest, at least one child, have that interest to continue the business. Then also putting structures in the business so that the royalties keep going back to the family. It doesn't mean that your family members will handle the businesses. All these rich people, at some point, their own kids face their life, but they get royalties from the business because the business is sustained with proper systems and structures in place. I think that's where we are lacking. Most of us are lacking in Nigeria, which we can now start finding ways to sustain. So you have a family business, that will last over 100 years, 200 years in our country. I think that's where we are just faulting.
Ijoma. Good morning, Ijoma is holding for a while. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma. How are you doing, Ma?
Very well. Go ahead, please. You're live.
Actually, I'm listening to what you guys are saying. Actually, I'm not from a rich home, and I can say I'm from a poor home. But looking at what is going on in the society we are, not just society, the world at large, no matter how you try to build that business, or no matter how you try to handle those riches to your children, it can't work to fourth generation. Definitely, it will come back. That's what they say, like what one of you earlier said, even though you want to build it, you want to handle it, you want to make them disciplined, no matter how best you try to make them disciplined, those poor children, you think they are poor. In 4 generations to come, there will surely be the higher people and the better people in the society. Thank you.
Very clearly, I'm sure our viewers heard you. But you see, I'll come to you now, Amaka. I know this is a true life story, and it's slightly similar to this, of a family. This woman toiled all her life to build this school. You all know this school. I'll mention it on TV. Okay. It's a large, huge, very big school in Lagos. It's a school that many people aspire to take their children. Whatever. Now, this kid, she raised her children with this school. send them abroad.
And they
The
gone
children
here.
have refused to
come back.
come back. They're not interested in this school. And this school serves over 400 children. Now, the kids come, they want to set it off. I don't live in Nigeria. I don't want to come to that country. I have my life in the UK, I have my life in the US. I'm not interested. They want to sell it off. And they're saying, please, don't sell off. Do you know how many children are dependent on this school? We have sessions. And the case is currently in court. There are issues where families, you do so much, you raise these children for the abroad.
They go and refuse to come back.
And then you build wealth.
You raise it for the abroad.
You raise your children for the abroad. And you're 80 years old, you've toiled, you didn't leave, like Obi Cubana is advising. You didn't leave, you were doing everything to send these children to the abroad. Now you are 75 years old. They have refused to come back to continue this big wealth. You have nothing, you have no succession plan. Now you are regretting that you didn't even use your money for yourself.
You did not flex
you didn't spend your money, you didn't enjoy your money because you have sent these children abroad. Just want to have a good life. Now you build this life and there's nothing. And so you feel the depression because you just feel that I have lost everything. So how do we retrace our steps? Because there are many families going through this right now.
Right.
All of us are raising our children for the abroad.
That's the thing. You were not.
Be all of us.
So you are raising our children for the abroad. I told you I went to a school recently.
Everybody wants to go.
The brochure, every child, 99.9%, they're all going abroad.
Yes.
They say, can you call this school? Can you call Dallas? Texas? This one. And I'm thinking, what is going on?
So it's not my example to give.
I'm sorry, please, Amaka has not spoken.
My turn to speak.
Right,
yeah, so I'm going to answer what Maria said the first time in terms of the poverty circulation, right? Coming back. I'm going to answer yours when you said that they can't transfer the wealth to their children, the business to their children. Then I'm going to also answer this last part. Yes.
Lawyer.
I'm going to put it in one. I like to break things.
Brilliant.
I like
to
share.
You're not writing there. You should know the right paper.
Yeah, I like to segment things. So yes, we come from an African culture of storytelling. Okay? Yes, and especially it's predominantly within the poor, where they do the folklore story at night. The children gather and they tell stories. That's the culture we come from. And so when you say that the poor man now becomes rich, they still don't lose certain things that are integral within them as the poor. And that's why you say, my father would say, wash a pig, clothe a pig, a poor person is a poor person. Like as in there's a mentality, for example, that comes within your environment, inherently from you. Psychologists will tell you this. So if they have that and you want to sustain the wealth you've created, it's important to gist, to remind, to tell stories to your children.
Yes.
Example, like the lady that we had on yesterday that gave us the history, her background of how she and her husband, they started, how they now became the oil magnates that they are today. She has written books. And it will stand the test of time. It is there where the family understands and they read those books and they understand the fact that this is how we became. This is who we are. We came from this. Yeah, there's an identity, there's a legacy, right? And then if your parents tell you a story of see how we suffered, this is how poverty is. Drinking this gari, even though I love drinking this gari is not the way. You need nourishment, you need vegetables, you need fruits. It will stick that you don't want to go back to that poverty where your parents are coming from. So then another thing I want to answer when you talk about people selling their parents' properties and not having people going abroad, then it's also left for you. Like when you build wealth, if I work so hard and I build wealth and I want transgenerational wealth, I need to put structures in place in terms of my will to ensure that I come from a family of generational wealth where there are systems in place. Like from my father's side, for example, the will states that the properties can never pass to the wives. The properties pass to the children. So there are things that my parents can never, my dad, they can never sell. There are things that the things that have been inherited that I can never sell because it passes down over generations.
Wow.
It can never leave the family.
There's a structure
There's a structure
in place.
in place.
That's
so
awesome.
the wives, like my mother, all of them can say, oh, that we did not benefit from this. But then you can't benefit, but supposing you marry somebody else or whatever, because they want a structure in place that for generation, these things are going to be the family for life.
Oh, wow.
So you put those structures.
Even if you go to Australia.
Even if I go anywhere, there has to be a way that these properties are handled, that the money still comes back to the family.
Let me take Chief Carlo, come to you talk. Good morning, Chief Carlo, you're live. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Morayo.
Good morning.
Yeah, hi.
Good
Good morning.
Go ahead, sir.
There is one thing we understand about poverty level or the Obi Cubana question. Is here an question mark? I can make it clear that poverty is from mindset. A poor man can have an children of rich, and a rich man can have a poor children. Everything in mindset. Let me clarify the same stuff. We not understanding what we're saying this morning, that all those things is grace. Whether the rich man will serve the poor man or the poor man serve the rich, everything is grace of God. Can you remember, check yourself, sometimes you, Morayo, or everybody in the house, you think about what you talk.
Lost that.
Sorry,
So sorry. There's something I found out about 2 years ago that exists in Nigeria. I didn't know it was in Nigeria, family office. So the family office system is a way where wealthy people create a structure, they create a company to manage their companies. So that school CEO, people study, I study money, as in, this is, I'm not, it's not even, I study money, I have daily 1 hour invested in studying money. That's been my journey for the past 4 years, studying money. You must understand that making money is the easiest thing.
Keeping it.
The most difficult thing is to keep that money and transfer. So we can acquire, but transferring the money, we don't have a structure. We don't talk about it enough because everybody, there's a survival mentality. Majority of Nigerians are struggling. The only thing they're trying to do is how to make the money. And then they make the money and enjoy the money. End of the discussion. We're not thinking, how do I transfer this money sustainably? There are family offices in Nigeria. The job of that family office is to manage the wealth of business owners so that if that school owner that has 400 is plugged into a family office or they own a family office, they will not, the children are not concerned. The children are selling because they don't have the time or the brain bandwidth to manage the business.
Or they are not interested.
I'm not interested in it. It's stress. It's okay. But if the family office is running it and every year I'm just getting this report and the money, we are good.
Even a trust.
Yes.
Trust is under family office. It's even smaller than family office. So it's important that we are thinking on how to sustain. That's number one. Number two is, she touched on its identity. The reason your children will go and not come back is because they do not have a strong identity, culture tied to this country. They don't see how their life is wired to solve the problem of this country. So my children watch a lot of cartoons, and as small as they are, the 12-year-old and 8-year-old, I keep on telling them, the reason you are here, the education you are getting is wired for you to solve the problem of Nigeria. That's why God, there was no mistake. They want coily hair, they want movies.
Okay, let me pause. I'm so sorry because we're on the same wavelength, and I want to emphasize something. You see, this thing you are saying is the crux of our problem. I have been speaking in many schools in the past couple of months. And when I go for these speaking engagements, there are people that are speaking ahead of me. Either they're lecturers, they're teachers, or all other speakers. And every single person is demeriting Nigeria, discrediting Nigeria. This country, the corrupt leaders, all of them, they have not done this. They totally demarket Nigeria to the children.
Yeah. There's no hope.
Everybody has sold hopelessness to your children, even in your class, your children's class. You don't know that. Because your teacher is there teaching your child. You know, in Nigeria, the corrupt, all the leaders are corrupt. They are reminding a child who's small. So everybody is told that child that this country does not work. They are all thinking of how to get out. So that identity you're talking about, our children don't have it. Feel like speak all the train them. The society is reinforcing to them in their schools, in their play, in their party, everywhere. The Nigeria is not working. So guess what? All of us, rich, poor, no rich, no poor, we're all raising children for a different country. Because you that can afford America, and that one is affording Ghana, and that one is Sierra Leone, and that one will afford Mali, and that one will afford Ghana. Just get out. So we have totally demarketed our nation.
The nation is not helping the marketing, though. The nation is not helping, but the point is, people have to see opportunity. The American dream is attractive because somebody sold an idea. They sold the identity that if you come here, this land, you will prosper. They sold Canada. They are currently selling UK as a place where you will make money, you will be comfortable. So the idea of selling that, if you sell this opportunity that if I go abroad, I'm getting on it to come and solve problem, I will shine here. I am a solution, I'm a problem solver. I'm not just thinking of my own comfort. It is constant reaffirming it. Oh, one day, why come I don't have straight hair? Why is our hair not straight like the one we're seeing in the cartoons and in the movies? I say, because our hair is kinky. They can never get this. You can get that. So it must be constant. Intentionality of this is what I want my children to think about. Yeah. This is the kind of children I want to raise in the future consistently over a long period of time. And finally, concerning the, back to Obi Cubana's story of the circle repeating itself. The circle will always repeat itself because when we don't tell the stories of how we get to where we are and we're not having conversations, daddy is so busy, mommy is so busy, there is no time between daddy and mommy to be able to pass on the journey to the children or pass on the story to the children or pass on why we are doing what we are doing to the children. So if that woman that owns the big school had told the story over and over again of how this school is a legacy and is impacting, we are transforming children's life. Yeah. Those people will be abroad, but their heart to be like, I want this school. Why would I go and be working in JP Morgan when my mom is transforming the lives of 400 people?
Okay. We often assume that people don't want what they want, right? And because of that, we think that if we do certain things and follow certain steps, it will all have the same results. We're dealing with human beings here. And as people grow, their needs, desires, wants, and everything changes. You can tell all the story you want to tell to your children, and then they grow, and they have an idea that is different from you, and they choose to leave. There's nothing you can do about it. You shouldn't be seeing yourself as if you have failed in any way. You have done all you need to know. Listen now, whether you tell story from today or not, if my skill set, the natural skill set that I have is not aligned with the business that you have started as my mother, there's nothing you can do.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. So, and when that happens, we often begin to fault ourselves that we did not do what we need to do or what we needed to do to have kept them. You really do not understand, people's destinies and their blueprints. Now, what I see is when you have laid that foundation, like we're all saying, market your country, give them a sense of identity and all of that, they may choose to travel and stay there, but they will definitely come back. I've seen a lot of people who stayed abroad, who studied abroad and everything, and one day they woke up and said, no, I have to go home. I've gotten this skill set, I'm solving this problem here, my people are suffering, I'm going home. Mommy, I'm coming back. What's up? What can we do? And they come back because you have laid the foundation. But stopping them from going, you may not stop them from going. And I like what you also pointed out. They have peers in schools. They have conversations. In fact, I was shocked one day when my daughter was saying, Mommy, let's relocate now. What are we doing here? I said, are you okay? I don't understand. Relocate to where? What am I going to do there? That's the question. I'm solving problems here. Why do I need to go there? And I made her understand some things. I've spoken to her. She sees all the work that I'm putting. She sees how I carry my country in my head. She can choose to go to school there and choose not to come back. But I know because I have sowed that seed, it will always come up tomorrow and she will decide to come back and help her country. Now, how do we also make it easy for them to come back? Not everybody that traveled really wanted to travel. Some people lost any form of hope. So we need to make the place also conducive in the little way that we can, so that when somebody is saying, I am proud of this country, I'm not coming back here to come and suffer. There are people who have come back to come and do businesses here, and they're struggling. They struggled, they packed their things, and they went back, and they said, I can't stay. So everybody needs to be working hand in hand. I don't want us to just pass the blame like we are not doing enough. Some of us are actually doing what we need to do, but we need help from every other place.
Lanike from Abuja, you're live. Thanks for calling.
Okay. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. And I just want to add my 2 cents to this. I'm a strategist. I'm a mother of a 23-year-old and a 16-year-old. So one thing I want you to know is that to the younger generation, the definition of wealth is different. Wealth is different for them. They have a different definition. Success is different from them. I notice a lot of them have this socialist kind of, they want everybody to be equal. So at times, having lived with a parent who was successful, some of them don't want to walk in those parents' shoes because they see the stress. They were denied the presence of their parents and all that. They understand the challenges that came with it. So somebody who is from another background, who did not have that experience, wants to enjoy it. And then another thing, if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you want to actualize your own dream. They have their own dreams. So that is what they want to do. They don't want to walk in their parents' shoes. Not all of them. I was going to use the school example, but I'm happy that Morayo brought one. The school I went to when I was in primary school, the school is dead. The woman is dead and her children didn't take over. I don't know what happened to them. So for these children, the definition of success is different. And then they want to actualize their own dreams. Thank you so much. Bye.
Story of a young lady who I met many years ago. And she was born and raised in the US. And she moved home because she moved to Nigeria. She said her parents demarketed Nigeria so bad, but she just felt that her spirit was here. And she wanted to come to see for herself. And she came. Yes, it wasn't easy, but eventually she lives in this country. Because, so it's just like you said, it's based on the choice. If you like, you can demarcate your motherland. If your child has an inherent love for their motherland, they'll come back. But the other point I was going to make was when we were talking earlier, I remember my father having a conversation with me when he goes, how important identity is and storytelling, like Amaka said earlier. I mean, I remember growing up, I grew up alone. I used to cry every day. I knew that my brothers were not around. I felt like an only child sometimes in the house. When I was finally leaving, my father had a very long conversation with me. And he said that they have gone, they've not come back. I want you to come back. He told me that he expected me to come back because he felt that I could be part of a solution. That I'm young, that Nigeria needs me. That conversation stuck with me.
Somewhere in your subconscious.
When I was still telling the story that when I was leaving, the day I was leaving the US to come back to Nigeria, my brother told me, pause.
Are you sure?
We are still in GFK. You never enter plane. I know you bought tickets. You never enter GFK and plane. You are still here. Look around. Are you sure you want to go back? I said, I'm going back. So, telling stories, helping your children understand who they are, what their purpose in life should be. It helps them. Initially, it might not look like they're getting through to them, but eventually it stays somewhere. And when they mature, they make a decision on what they want to do. And even if they don't come back, it's also okay.
Yes, even if they don't come back.
That's where I was going to say.
Okay, so like also coming from someone that lived abroad, and then I came back. And then I came back also because my parents lived abroad and came back, right? And then, presidents, and also because they sold a story to me, they sold the good Nigeria to me, they sold the brand to me. My mom came back because she felt like, she used to tell me, I grew up just hearing that, oh, Nigeria is amazing, Nigeria is good, there's so much you can do, there's this, that. So, and that was why she wanted to come back. And then, the day when I made up my mind that, you know what, I just woke up and I started moving to Nigeria. And my father told me, are you sure you're moving to Nigeria? I said, yes, I'm moving back. And everybody thought I was crazy. And I moved back, right? But then we need to know that creating generational wealth and a legacy, also a key ingredient to that is sentiments and love. How do you bring up your kids? The love and sentiment, because that's what will make that child, even if they want to stay abroad or they're staying abroad, they'll still have that passion and that love for that thing that mom toiled for so long.
Even that thing mommy's stew.
Do you understand? That mom is so passionate. I have a friend that lives in America. The whole family are in America, the father, everything. And then he has, the mom used to run a physio center here in Nigeria, here in Lagos. And then he has no business in Nigeria. But every 3 months, 4 months, he's always in Nigeria. He has left that center open because he understands the passion that this is his mom's life work of helping people, of understanding, like I said, the sentiment. Every time I keep asking, like I said, you're not even making money for me, even though now the business is running itself, but he feels that this sentimental attachment to that place.
Let me take this call. Can't remember the name. Good morning. Hello, you're live. Yusuf, are you there? Hello, Yusuf.
I'm there.
Go ahead, live. You go ahead.
Good morning, Morayo.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Morayo.
We can hear you. Please go ahead. Don't listen to the TV. Listen to me.
My name is Odiba Yusuf. Yeah, my name is Odiba Yusuf Adam. I'm calling from Kaduna. I'm just very lucky to have gotten you people today.
We're happy to have you.
You see, my sisters, nobody is demarketing this country of ours. The children are not small. They are not blind. The children are coming up. when a father struggles to pay school fees, they are seeing it, not until you tell them. We are business people. We do business in Nigeria here. The only advantages government have, the only thing government can help us to do is to provide enabling environment for us to do business so that those children can grow from it. But unfortunately, some of those things are not available. You are sending children to school, to higher institutions, you can't pay their school fees. You can't even feed them 3 times a day. My small child of 7 years one day walk up to me and say, Daddy, let us leave this country. That I now asked him, where do you want us to go? He said, Daddy, we should go to Dubai. And I laughed. I have seen reason why he's saying so. If you ask me, do I really have money to go to Dubai? Even within Nigeria, how would we struggle? I have 3 children at the university. I know what it takes to take care of those children in this country. I know how much I have labored to pass them through. Most of my resources, my business money is going on daily basis for their upkeep. I'm happy. I thank God for that. But I'm telling you, the government is not trying for this.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Yusuf. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Government has so much to do to help the children see our society, and you cannot paint a different picture. I totally agree with you. But I also always believe that it's also, I think it was yours is what we say, what we confess sometimes. We continue to reinforce it. So at some point, somebody has to break that cycle of, okay, yes, we're in a state, but we must also have hope. So we're praying that we don't preach hopelessness to the children. We see the hopelessness, but we try not to preach it, to reinforce it to their subconscious. There's a part that we've not touched on, which I'd like us to touch on before I come to you. The part Obi Cubana said, when you were talking about enjoying what you have. Because people, you want to go to
let me do this one then. We'll now go to enjoying the money. I wanted to talk about a few things. I feel that, and it's not to make it, like BC mentioned earlier, that if your children don't come back, they're still... Is their destiny. It does not mean that the parent has failed. I think it's very powerful because some parents feel like I did everything and my child did not come back, I built this thing and my child is not coming here. As long as your child is a good ambassador of the brand you have given, your child is living with integrity, is adding value, is solving problems, wherever they are, is still good. Please, business owners, don't stop building businesses for your children. It is the biggest disservice we are doing to ourselves as a nation. Multiple amazing businesses have died in Nigeria over the years simply because the founders of the business, Tokwe and Sons, Murayo and Co. This is a problem because you are building your business with the intention of passing it on to your children. No, build your business across a mission, a vision, the value. My business is solving this problem. My children don't need to take over my business. They play around it in the house that, I'm going to take over mommy, I'm going to be the CEO of mommy's business. This one, you like IT, you handle daddy's business. I'm like, none of you need to handle my business if you do not have the competence to manage it. Yeah. The business will have a CEO that will run it effectively in such a way that you will get revenue from it. If you want to, you will work there. If you don't want to, you don't work there. Build your business to solve a problem, not to be your children's inheritance. That's your inheritance for your children is to give them a good identity, a good name, and good education.
That's why the problem is
the real identity. Yes. Give your inheritance to them. Good name is your inheritance to them. Good identity, inheritance to them. And that culture of this is who I am. There's nothing that beats it. When you give them that, your business can then give them revenue as an additional bonus in future.
Okay, before we come to how to spend our money, you know me, I like how to chop money. We also need to understand that times are changing. Our world is technologically driven, and unfortunately, our economy has not caught up. And now we're sending children to different schools where their creativity is different from the sort of traditional businesses that we have built. Yeah. They may likely not have a love for what we are doing. They will be going to data analytics and all those things that we have not really grounded ourselves in. And if they do that and they want to flourish, they may not be able to stay here to flourish. And that's okay. Like she said, just leave your legacy there. Make sure your business has a structure. Whether they are there or not, your business thrives. And they get their royalties. Tomorrow they can wake up with the new skill set that they have, and say, okay, there's a way I can change this school now when I come as so and so person. And they start the work. It's not something you will force and feel like you're a failure if you don't get. But we need to understand that the jobs of the future is so different from even what most of our schools are teaching today. We still have way outdated curriculum in some of the schools. We still have...
How do you use the word some? Because
yes.
many schools have... They are living in the
Is
same
it
world.
universities?
Yes, many of them are living in the same world.
It's not universities I'm talking about. I'm talking about... When I'm talking about outdated curriculum, I know where it is. So that's where majority of the children are in the public schools. The universities that you see now that are going for this new technology are private universities. How many people can actually afford to put their children in private universities? So now you have a child who wants to study flying a plane. Which university here, aeronautics, thank you, is teaching it right now? And then you stop that child because you should be a Nigerian, you should be patriotic. No. Change that dream and go for something else. Is that what is going to make us happy? No, we have to be realistic with the times that are changing. So do what you can as a parent. Now allow these children to go explore. Your new wealth creation may come from something different from your country, and you find a way to merge it.
And you can also raise your children in the
I will respond back.
And you can also choose to raise your children in the military fashion. Which is that you must do this, you must do that, like the royals. You must do this, you must do that. You cannot go outside this. You have to marry. It is only a choice. If you have children that can key into that, well,
good morning, Carrie. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Go ahead, you're live,
can you guys
please.
hear me?
Very clear.
All right, thank you. All right, good morning. I just want to ask you what the last caller actually said about his 3 kids in the university and how he's trying to pay school fees and all that. May God continue to provide for him anyway. I think parents need to be key into what is happening in the country. Especially, we know that yesterday the president just launched the student loan. So I expect parents to encourage their children to apply for the student loan and monthly stipends. Also, I also want parents to inform, to know what is going on in the university and the polytechnic where they send their children to make sure that the children are getting quality education. If they are not getting quality education, then they should raise alarm. They should be part of what is going on in this country. The blaming will not work. That's one. Then, secondly, it is very important for parents to be key into what their kids want to become in life. You don't need to force them, but you can guide them towards what you want them to be, by creating a different skills and different environment for them to be able to learn things that they will be able to use in the future. So I believe that if we can contribute in what happened in our country, the educational aspect, the environmental aspect, safety aspect, if we can contribute, let us be aware of what is going on within our environment.
Thank you very much, Kadiri.
And be better. Thank you.
Let me take you up. I was trying not to take you up, but because I know that you
triggered
started,
something.
You've triggered a lot of things in my mind. But I know that if I start it now, you just start vibrating.
You know now.
So, okay, see, I would rather a situation where we raise our kids to solve our problems. Aeronautics is a good course. I know somebody, let me start with the example I know. I know somebody who raised her child to have the American dream. In Nigeria, her child was so boyish in thinking. This child took the child all the way to Harvard.
Wow.
And guess what? The child went to learn ballet dancing.
Ew.
In her mind, I want to be a ballet dancer. Okay. So as a Nigerian child, you go to Harvard to learn ballet because Nigerian courses would not teach you how to do ballet in Nigeria. You now go to ballet. You now try to go to Broad Street. You try to go to all the, nobody takes you for different factors, and then you're not looking for jobs. You can't find proper jobs because obviously there's racial issues, there are ethical, there are issues that are stopping you from breaking through that glass ceiling as an African. You're now struggling. You're now seeing what you can do to see how can mommy get you a job in Nigeria because you can't find your feet. Now, the point is that these lovely courses, aeronautics, and if they're great, they're very beautiful. If you maybe if you live in certain areas, but the truth is that the real wealth, some would argue, and it's debatable, the real wealth is studying Africa and seeing what do we need? How can we send our children to schools, either within or without, where they can actually become problem solvers of our own unique problems, not ballet dancing, but how to recycle our waste to ensure that we transform into electricity. That's where the wealth is. So it's one thing to have kids dreaming of all sorts of things to take them out of the country, but it's another thing to say, how do we ensure that we're raising our kids to solve our problems?
Can I add something or ask you a little question? So is it in everybody's path that they will be wealthy? It's not, and it's okay. Everybody, every family cannot do business, and it's fine. Everybody has their path in this life. Everybody fits in, you know, like how you do your puzzle. You fit in somewhere. Some people are meant to manage other people's business, and they will take it to the highest level till they grow old, and they will be fulfilled. What we like to do here, and it also comes from a place of poverty, we always assume that success is one type of way. And if you don't have it that way, you have failed. No, we are having children now who are more in tune with their emotions. It's what gives them fulfillment and self-actualization. So I may come from a family where my mama is selling akara. They use the akara to send me to school. She has several people working. And the kind of gifts and the brain I came with was to sit down and construct something that even my country, they have not understood. How do I help that child to actualize? That's what we should be thinking about. Whether the child decides to now bring that skill home or doesn't come back, is that child happy? Is that child fulfilled? So when we now put it like, we have to solve, there are many people finding ways to solve problems in Africa. There are plenty. Those ones should solve. This one, no one solve. Now, by force. All of us cannot be solving problems of Africa. Or people are coming here to solve problems for us. We are going there to solve their own for us. That is how the world works. So there's no one-size-fits-all setting where we must do it. I thought it was education I wanted to answer.
So it also brings us to like purposeful living.
Thank you.
Because like you can rightfully say, like even to Obi that is talking about the cycle of poverty and wealth. What does wealth mean to you and what does success mean to you?
It's different.
Yes, it's different. Right. You know, as in most people are contented and it's okay. And that's also
life.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to also marry your type. When I talk about marry your type.
Let me stay with you for a second, because when you talk about contentment, so if you are content with what you have and you are sacrificing everything for your children, and what Obi is saying is that you're not enjoying your wealth. So in your mind, okay, let me just stay in this house. I can afford to live in Banana Island, but let me just stay here in this Oshodi house because this money I want to save it because I want my child. And then you make all that sacrifice, and the child either doesn't come back, has found her path, and say, you know, I'm not the one to solve Nigeria's problem. Please, I beg me, I want to stay in Atlanta. I want to be there. I want to just be my regular 9 to 5, earn my $15 an hour, and I'm okay. And you are now 75 years old, and you're feeling, oh my goodness, I should have just moved to Banana Island. I should have just lived my life if this child actually had no plans to. So there's that regret I want us to address. How do we help that people?
So let me respond to you. So this brings us back to the enjoyment part now, right? As in make the money enjoy. How do you enjoy your wealth? So like also the way success means different thing, enjoyment means different thing. I'm a addict. My enjoyment is my self-care. I love myself too much. And everything. That is my goal. So I must enjoy. And BC is my sister in that enjoyment, right?
You took over
another person's own enjoyment is going to this beach and sitting down there. Meditating and eating corn and pear. And that is what makes them happy. If you take them to spa, you have killed them.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Everybody's level of enjoyment is different. Some people's own enjoyment is to carry 2 women, have 5 girlfriends. That is their own. Yes, some men, when they have attained their wealth, their own is, I'm now an odoku. Let me have some baby girls that will be massaging my back. People's own level of enjoyment differ. But what we're trying to say here, and what Obi is trying to say is that whatever your level of enjoyment is, my dear, find time
to be doing it.
Small.
Be adding it.
I'll be adding it to...
Yeah.
Yes. I have a slightly... I agree with you, just an addition to it. What Mariah is talking about is parenting in a way that you will not end your life in regret. Parenting in a way that you will not feel, after all I have done for you, this is all you can do with yourself. Because you feel like I have lived my life sacrificially, entirely for these children. I do not think that's the kind of life you are wired to live. You're meant to sacrifice for your children to give them a good life, give them a good foundation, but not at the detriment where you will start feeling regret for all the things you did not do. Hence, I travel. That's my own. Because as much as I want to give you that life, I don't want to look back and say, I did not live my 20s, I did not live my 30s, I spent my 20s, 30s, 40s nurturing this family. So we must find that balance. I would do for you, and as I'm doing for me, so I don't regret.
When myself and my husband were fighting over this travel thing years ago, and I was deceased, I said, you met me traveling. My husband had this embargo on traveling for a while. And part of his argument was that my father started traveling at the age of 60. He went to Israel, and I'm thinking, I don't want to travel. I don't want to start traveling at the age of 60.
Oh, yeah, almost limping.
For him, it was sacrificial for us to wait. Let us do the big things, the heavy lifts and the houses, and then later on, we can now worry about traveling. That this traveling thing is how you put it on your head. And he kept, for him, the mindset was that it's after the kids have finished school, you pay school fees, you can now start. I said, well, at that time,
you're too tired to even do something. You're too tired to take some long trips. So it's the mentality
we have, and it took a long time to go back and forth. But you see, that's how we must change people's thinking.
And then if you doesn't do what you want, there'll be regret.
Yes.
Those kind of parents will have regrets.
The thing is, there are people that are wired to think that they forget where they were coming before they got married and had children. So before the kids came, they now have the identity as Papa somebody and Mama somebody and forget that they were human beings first before they got married and started having children. And some people have Messiah complex also. It's also a problem in therapy where you want to save the day. You want to save everybody. You want to sacrifice for everybody at the detriment. See, you cannot give what you do not have. I always say it. You must fill your cup first so that you give the overflow. And that is also for your children. It's not just for outsiders. You give from a place of overflow so that if it doesn't come back to you the way you have given it, you gave it from your overflow place and you will never regret it. What we see is people giving from an empty place. And so they get to that old age and everybody's doing their own thing and they're feeling, so they're not seeing me. So after everything, I did not go to school because of these people. I did not do the courses I wanted to do. I did not travel like talk by the way I wanted to travel because I was saving and making sure, until you've been a fool. That's not how life is.
We did not tell you that's what we wanted. That's what you tell you.
So you did according to your own dream for them, thinking they will stop their own dream for you. It doesn't work that way. So we just need to
Let's finish the show.
But actually, the time has gone.
The time has gone, actually.
Let's take a comment on social media.
Wow. There are lots of comments filling each of our angles. Niger says, in tune with their emotions, what nation got out of... okay. Okay, so let me take this person. They are talking to themselves.
Okay.
Futa says, how can a producer pass his job to his children and grandchildren? That's why the children don't want to be producers, though. I don't blame them.
I don't understand.
Okay, so they are comments, but they are conversations between each other as commenters on...
Let me see, I think one from...
maybe you see on one-on-one messages.
Hello, Mara, I want to disagree with BC's response. No one is helping us fix our country, and no Igbo is doing that. They are rather taken out of our country. The Chinese went out to tap knowledge everywhere and returned to build their country, and this is a common Asian tigers. No one, and I repeat, no one will fix Nigeria except Nigerians. We need many people to return and add value to fix our country. Okay, that's it. And let's see another angle.
Fiona here says, I have a classmate who studied chemistry in Nigeria first degree, still went to study aeronautics and is doing very well now. It's all about focus and destiny. Fadiki says, ballet dancing sounds like an extreme example. Mariah's point is well taken. Good Beat says, every single Nigerian can make a difference in their own little way.
Please, I want to say this because I know we're almost out of time. The man called into the show and spoke about how he's paying children's school fees in 3 different schools. I think it's important, and I'm sure he's also paying upkeep. We don't have a structure for part-time work for students in Nigeria, and I think it's a disservice to students while in school. Every child, once you're in the university, you should be able to work and support your parents on that journey. It's an important thing. Even if you can afford it, let them do something productive on the side while studying. And as a parent, I'm begging you, if there's anything you take from this show, as you're taking care of your children, please take small and take care of yourself. If you are aspiring,